So mostly on the podcast sessions that we normally host, we normally don't have, we always go unscripted. So we just go with the flow. I think I love all those natural conversations and and I know it always leads to something more deeper, So I guess we're just going to start by introducing ourselves just briefly. And probably you just give us a little bit of your background, then we take it from there.
Sounds great. I'll just follow wherever you want to go.
I like that, Chris. So I actually should have changed that name, me being selfish now, to show our name also, to say Tunde and Masitori. But anyway, my name is Babatunde. That is my full name. It's a West African name from the Yoruba-speaking tribe in Nigeria specifically. And Babatunde means the father has returned. And my last name, Olanikpekun, it means wealth without limit or unlimited wealth. So we, back in Nigeria, we very, we take names, the meaning to names very seriously. So we just don't have, it always goes around maybe an incident that has happened in the family, something, that has just happened. And so those are my names, Babatunde Olanikpekun. And I grew up in a polygamous family. My dad was in the military. He traveled around a lot. And I have some stepbrothers and stepsisters, I think about 4 in front of me. But my mom is kind of like the only legally married wife to him. And so I have 2 more siblings behind me, which is a girl and a boy. So when I was growing up, polygamy was just something that I knew that was the in thing, So I grew up in a very polygamous setting. And some of the experiences that I brought from there has actually helped me shaped and made certain decisions to be who I am today. So I'm not going to go much into the story. I'm going to give my wife, just to share briefly about herself, and we'll take it from there.
Oh, hi, Chris. My name is Masitori Selina Olanipekun, but my former last name is Muletsani. I'm a South African. So I lived in South Africa for the rest of my life until we moved to the US. And then I met this handsome dude that came to South Africa, and I hold him down.
She held me down, Chris.
I love it.
Yeah, we met in
2003.
Yes, we met in 2003.
Absolutely.
And then, here we are today.
Okay.
And so one thing that the people that they know me with my nickname. So every time my husband say Masitori, they're like, why is he calling me with this name? So my nickname is Smangi.
Mangi.
Smangi.
Smangi. It's Smangi.
Yeah, you said it
Chris,
perfectly.
Chris pronounced it perfectly. I'm like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
What does that name mean?
Smangi is just like, it's a Zulu name, but I don't know how my parents came about giving me a Zulu name. In full, it's Smangele. So they now say Smangi, but my mom, she's from a Xhosa tribe in South Africa, and my dad is from Sotho tribe. Okay. So my parents, they speak 2 different languages, but they do understand each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think that trend is going on. Me speaking Sesotho and my husband speaking Yoruba. Now our kids, they only speak English.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah, because we speak English at home.
But you can understand each other.
Well,
In
no,
English.
In English.
In English.
We speak
Oh, okay.
English. Yeah.
Yes, but if we speak Yoruba, I'm like there
Yeah.
and there because we spent like what 19 years
About
there and there.
Yeah.
But to make a whole conversation in Yoruba or in my language,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
Wow.
So we just to round that up. We moved out here to the U.S. About 8 years ago. We've got three boys. We've got three sons. We had one in South Africa, and we had the other two here in California. So we moved out here about 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it is great to get to know a little bit about where you're from and what your names mean and all that. I know so much is written into those stories.
Right.
So I'd love to know more.
Right. So I'll just give you some time also to go for it. Tell us who you are, what
Sure.
you do, and
Sure.
we just get to know you more.
Yeah. Well, I live in Northern Colorado. I did grow up here in Colorado, and out in the mountains. I had horses growing up, and just kind of out in a very rural area. But I went to school in Chicago.
Okay.
And then that is where I met my wife. We've now been married for 28 years, and we have
Wow.
3 mostly adult children. We still have a senior in high school at home, but the other 2 are gone. And and what I do, both my wife and I work together in the ReStory Counseling Center. She's the executive director, and I'm the clinical director. And so we offer counseling and storywork counseling and spiritual direction at the ReStory Counseling Center. Prior to that, though, we've not always been doing that. Prior to that, we lived overseas for about 10 years. We lived in Istanbul, Turkey. We were working in Christian ministry and supporting the Turkish church. And then we lived in Seattle for a couple of years, getting our graduate degrees. And now we live back in Colorado. We moved back to Colorado in 2010. So we've been here for 13 years.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And talking about Turkey, how long did you stay there?
We were there for about 10 years.
Wow. That's amazing. So you must have kind of like blended with the culture, the way, the lifestyle and all of that.
It was long enough for us to be there that both my wife and I speak the language.
Really?
Our children were raised there, and they learned Turkish as kids.
Wow.
But now that we've been back, we moved back to the United States in 2007. It's been a long time. And so they have completely forgotten Turkish. And my wife and I now have, you were talking about the languages that you speak. My wife and I now have this secret language that no one else around us.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we speak to each other in Turkish often.
Wow. That's amazing. I like that. I like that. One of the things I always tell my wife that she knows also is like I love traveling, I love to travel a lot, and we still have so many places on our bucket list that we want to go out to, just to go have fun. I remember she was reminding me a couple of days ago, she said, remember, we still have to go to Greece. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's in the pipeline. We're working on it.
Good. Well, it's a good place to go. Greece is a beautiful place.
Right. I remember we watched some movie many years back. It's called The Tourist. And we just kind of like got captivated by, the scenery, the beautiful waterways, and, the ancient history of the city. It's just beautiful.
Yes, it certainly is. And to desire to travel together is a beautiful thing in marriage, right? To be able to see the world and experience the world and have the world kind of trigger some stories inside of you that may have come from your life before you got married, and now you can talk about them. And we love traveling as well.
Yeah.
So for that very reason. Yeah,
that's amazing. So anyway, I would really thank you again, Chris, for actually reaching out to us. We truly appreciate it. It's really amazing when we kind of like connect with like-minded people who we kind of like share the same values, the same visions together. It's always interesting to connect and be able to learn more and also share more ideas on how one can reach or walk better towards one's purpose. So talking about married and committed, I'll just give you like a brief of how it started, which is just about a year now that we started recording. I and my wife, we've been married for 19 years now. So it's going to be 20 years in March 2024. And we got together to be committed at a very early age. I think I was 25.
No, you're 24.
Okay, 24, I guess. Yeah, right? Yeah. I know you guys can be very good with the age. And you were what, 19?
I was 19.
Yeah, she was 19. So, yeah, so it's such... And I remember vividly, you know, going back and seeing all the experience, all the things that we've gone through. I go back, you know, kind of like rewind. I'm like, it's only God's grace that brought us this far, because we had lots of ups and downs that we see actually breaking marriages now, you know, issues of finances, infidelity, you know, having a breakdown of trust, there's lack of communication, all of this, you know, nitty-gritty things that sometimes, you know, when you see in this generation, they kind of like take it for granted, and you end up seeing marriages don't last long as it used to. The institution of marriage is kind of just taken lightly, and people don't take commitment serious, you know. It's always more about the wedding versus the marriage, you know. And I always tell people, potential, you know, couples that we speak to be like, these are two different things. The wedding, yeah, you're going to have a merry time, you know, have this thing good and all that. But the marriage itself is where, you know, you would have to be committed. And when talking about committed, my wife always say, no, there's no 50-50, right?
Yeah, no 50-50.
Yeah. Nope. You have to be 100% committed, because if you are not committed, you would see yourself, you know, everything that you've worked for to build the marriage, everything's just going down the drain. And, you know, with all of this experience, I just thought, you know, why not? Spoke to my wife. I'm like, you know, why not just, you know, get all of this and start a podcast and start helping marriages and start helping Christian couples particularly, you know, to help them rebuild trust, you know, rekindle intimacy, and help them live a fulfilling married life as designed by God. Because marriage being a sacred institution it's just been turned upside down. There's a whole lot going on. And people are, you know, if I may use the word, you know, the institution is being bastardized, and, you know, people, they don't take it serious. And
remember, sorry, Chris, I want to say something. For him too, I was excited when he was telling me that, oh, I want to start a Married and Committed podcast and all that, because he used to be like, don't talk to people about our past. Don't tell them what we went through. How would people look at us? Then I was like, but if we don't tell people what we went through, it won't help. Maybe somebody is passing through the same thing that we passed through, but they don't know how to navigate to come out of that situation. You know, so I was excited that, oh, I think he's ready to talk now, because every time if I say, oh, my friends was like this, then I said this, and it's like, but now how would these people look at us? I'm like, I don't mind what people are saying, because we are still together. If I say something and we were not together, that's when I'll be like, what will people say? But we are still together. That means we passed that situation, that stage, so I was happy. And I tell him that anytime we go, and when he tells me like, oh, today we are going to talk about finances, oh, today we're going to talk about infidelity, I'm like, are we getting real or we are just covering?
Yes.
Like, what do you mean by getting real? I'm like, no, because I'm going to state this, I'm going to state this, and this is not what they said. This is what we passed through. So I think at that point when he was like, yes, I'm ready for podcast, I'm like, yippee, now I don't have to hold back. Even though somebody tells me something, I'm like, that is a lie. Trust that when trust is broken, love is no longer there anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, I went through that. I went through whereby there was no trust, but I was like, but this married, I said, I do.
I want to make it work.
Now, when I'm like, no, I'm not going to stand and say, no, I don't trust him anymore. It's done. And that decision didn't just come like that because now we have kids. Actually, at that time, it was only one. And I was like, I don't want this kid to be like weekend here, next weekend with daddy, with another woman, next weekend mommy with another man. I had to put all those into consideration. I'm like, no, I'm going to let this walk.
That's right.
So that's where, like, that's part of the things that I was like, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go and ahead with Married and Committed podcast.
Yeah, that's part of our story in a nutshell. Yeah. So we're here now, and it's been exciting. We're trying to reach out to people, and before now, we kind of like reach out to people, to couples. They're always reaching out to us and seeking for advice. Asking us because I think they mostly see how we model ourselves, when it comes to this institution of marriage and being Christians also. And so we've had, let me say, informal couple sessions, because it's not like we have a program, that we take them through, but if we with a certain couple, we just take them through, different stages of what they need to be aware of, things that they need to avoid, things that they don't have to get into, how they can come out of, conflicts, managing conflict, all kind of resolutions and all that. So it's just been amazing, and we're looking forward to take that to the next level. But whilst, talking about that, I want you, Chris, to tell us more about ReStory, so that also when we put out this video, we'll be able to reach out to our audience and they can see how you can help them, whatever. Maybe it's a certain program that you have at ReStory, and see how they can apply all of that. I don't know if you have certain programs or a course and all of that. So I would like you to take us through that.
Sure. Well, thanks for the invitation. And yeah, we have at ReStory, we have something specifically for marriages that is called the Thrive Marriage Lab. Now we have couples, and you probably talk to couples like this too, that they want some level of marriage enrichment, and they're in one category. And then there's another category of couples that are more in crisis, right? So the crisis couples actually do need to sit down with somebody and do some good marriage work. They need to have somebody in their lives who's regularly meeting with them and helping them work through the crisis. And you mentioned infidelity. You mentioned, maybe there's a significant loss. Maybe they're at the place where they're just done with each other and the marriage looks like it's potentially heading towards breaking up. Right. Those couples are in crisis and they need somebody to work with. But there's a whole bunch of other couples. A whole bunch of other couples that are good. Mostly they've maybe settled into some patterns. They feel like our marriage is fine. And yet something inside of them knows that there should be something more. There should be more closeness. There should be more connectedness. There should be more depth. There should be more intimacy. And they've settled into something that just allows for their lives to kind of just be okay, I guess I should say. And what ends up happening for those couples is maybe they want to read a book, maybe they go to a marriage conference, but they kind of get a couple shots in the arm, but they don't actually do the deeper work to get past the just fine, the okayness. Mm-hmm. Thrive Marriage Lab is for those couples. So we've designed a 12-month journey for couples like that who need some guidance, and then they also need some like regular prompting to take them to the next level. To take them to the next level of being in like, what categories do we need to talk about? What issues do we need to address? Now here's the thing. You mentioned like finances. That's not one of the things that we talk about because that's an issue. Yes, we focus on what is happening in the relationship. And if you do the work of developing the relationship, then you can face whatever issue comes up because you have the solid foundation of a good relationship. So the Thrive Marriage Lab is it's a 12-month journey, like I said.
12 months?
12 months.
Okay.
Work with a cohort of other people that have joined the lab at the same time. People are across the country or across the world, actually. And throughout the course, we have 12 teachings. We gather together once a month, twice in the month. So once a month, it's the whole cohort for our teaching gatherings, and the couple gets on Zoom, and we have a big gathering for everybody where we do our teaching. And then we lead a discussion, not for the group to have with each other, but for the couple to have with each other in the privacy of their own home. We facilitate a conversation for that couple to have. So we have them turn off their microphones and turn off their cameras and have a conversation together that we then facilitate with them and for them. And then they come back to the group, and then we talk about how that was, what came up in that conversation. That's once a month. Once a month, I meet with the husbands. Tracy, my colleague, she meets with the wives. That happens once a month. We have interviews that we've done with some of the most kind of famous and prolific experts in the field of Christian marriage. And so we've gone after them and have really kind of gotten those interviews with them. And then we've also created guides, like conversation guides, where once a week there's a prompt. Once a month, there's a whole date night kind of that we've kind of created for you so that your couple can go do that, and it follows along with the teaching over the course of those 12 months. So that's what the Thrive Marriage Lab is all about. We also have a YouTube channel that we've just launched. We have 12 good dates that we've put together that you can subscribe to for free, that to kind of give you a date idea each month for you to have a deeper conversation around some deeper issues of your life and such. So all of that is part of the Thrive Marriage Lab.
So you said, it's a 12-month program. It must be really intensive, for having, put up.
Yeah. I mean, intense. I don't know that I would say the word intense, because we recognize that couples are busy, and even finding time to have a date night each month is really challenging for a lot of couples.
That's right.
And we also know that, couples that do this, they want to invest in their marriage. They want to invest the time and grow something new and different in their relationship. So we pretty much say it's about 1 hour a week is what we're asking couples to invest. Whether it's watching the training videos, watching the interviews, going on that date, having some of those conversations, joining the gatherings, it's about an hour a week.
Okay. I think that's pretty fair enough. That's fair enough.
But we do ask, like what you guys have said about your stories, we do ask the couple to get into their stories. And there's the stories of what has happened in the marriage relationship, but then there's also the stories that you brought with you into the marriage that have significant impact in what is going on in the relationship. And it's you have to attend to those things, because we call it story wars. Otherwise, if you have a story and you have a story, and those stories kind of get activated or triggered towards one another, well, then they're going to just kind of war against one another, and you're not going to know what's even going on between you
Absolutely.
until you attend to the stories.
Absolutely.
Right. So that feels like a really important space. And that's why we call our counseling center ReStory, because we're going back to what has been storied in the past and what could be a new or different story, not erasing the past, but recognizing what has been written and how can we go back and kind of unpack what has happened there in order for us to live a different story now.
Wow. That is amazing. I love that kind of progression, if I may say, because mostly I'm always like, when I speak to people, I'm always letting them know that, hey guys, you guys are coming from different backgrounds, and using the keyword story, you have different stories. I mean, this lady right here was raised up in a South African home, where they have a totally different kind of way of doing things. And I'm from West Africa. We don't speak the same language. We don't really have a lot in common, when it comes to our upbringing. It's like two totally different backgrounds. So we coming together, we bringing both of our stories together and saying, no, we want to become one. It's not going to look, it's not going to be as easy as, you just want to say A, B, C, D and all that. We would have to learn to tolerate one another. Yes. We will have to say, hey, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. This is where I am coming from, but I'm not, going to enforce whatever it is that I'm used to, which has, become a paradigm over the years that I've grown up. I'm not going to enforce that to you.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, I'm going to be able to have the patience to be able to tolerate you and learn from you and learn who you are and accept you for who you are. The things that we would really want to work out, that we want to see a change on it, we will come to an agreement, we'll come to a compromise. I always tell couples that you would have to compromise. It's not about me anymore. It's about us. It's about you building that thriving marriage as designed by God. Because the Bible says when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. So you're not supposed to be a knife, in the marriage that's going to be cutting the man or cutting every pieces of the marriage, and, yes, making everything fall apart. But you're supposed to be that helper to the marriage. And you husbands, you've been designed that you need to love your wives. Women, it's one of the hardest things. Say submit, be submissive. But now, when you hear, when some women hear submissiveness, it's always been like, no, I don't want to be controlled. Then the issues of feminism kicks in and all that. No, it's not about that. Submission is totally something different that, you're thinking about. It's just you being able to walk along together. So I like, I really love the program, and I'm believing as, potentially we're going to have people want to share or want to know more about the program and see how they can be part of it.
Yeah. Well, probably the best way to find out about it is simply to go to thrivemarriagelab.com. So thrivemarriagelab.com is where you can find out about it. You can also, I'll give you the link to this to put in your show notes and all of that.
Right.
But the link to get those free dates that we have, the Thrive dates, just to kind of get your feet wet and kind of sign up for that. They'll just show up in your email. We don't start the next cohort until the beginning of next year, but to really start the process of thinking through that, what would you like to do as a couple, and make that kind of investment into your relationship and in time, and to prepare for that, and even just kind of to get to know us. So I would suggest getting onto our YouTube channel and then also onto the Thrive dates that we have for you.
That's amazing. And what's the YouTube channel? What's your YouTube call?
Thrive Marriage Lab.
Thrive Marriage Lab. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you said the website is thrivemarriage.com.
ThriveMarriageLab.com.
ThriveMarriageLabs.com. Okay. Yes. All right. That's amazing. So anyone who wants to be part of the program can see all the full details of how they can join and all of that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's amazing. So Chris, tell us, because I believe this is just the beginning of a greater connection with us. You know, we're going to be speaking to you more, you know, aside from this interview and all that. We just want to connect and learn even from you. I mean, you've been in the game a little bit longer than us. So
about 10 years longer than you, but
I like to have mentors, you know, and people around us, because I always tell people marriage is all about work, and it's a daily work, you know, up until you get to that stage whereby you're not here anymore. You have to put in the work daily. In fact, I was saying to someone, I said, the risk of a good marriage, or the risk in a good marriage, is that you would tend to relax sometimes. You tend to be like, oh, everything is good. And you forget to put in more work that you need to put.
Yeah, I view marriage like a garden, right? That you need to tend to the garden. You need to water it. You need to fertilize it. You need to make sure that it's doing well, provide it enough light, all of those things to tend to the garden. And there will be seasons of a garden that are blooming and blossoming, and it feels like all is well, and the fruit of your labor is actually right there before you.
My God.
And then there are seasons where things start to kind of go down and wither, and seasons where it feels like the ground is frozen and nothing can grow here. But you still need to tend to it. It still requires that regular tending. And making sure that you're picking the weeds out and make that things, you know, that have grown, that they get trimmed off if need be, you know. So all of that is, I fully agree with you that it's work. And some of the work is the enjoyment of it, of just sitting in the garden and enjoying it. Some of the work is plowing new ground and making sure that the right things are getting planted there. So all of that is what you're describing in the sense of like, hey, this is work.
That's right. Sweetie, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, from this little time that we had, there's one thing I picked up, because I tend to be like, if I'm in a session or what, I have something that stand out for me, that I'm like, oh, you know what, I need to go and look into this. But like what you said when we were mentioning the topics that we had, like when we say finances, and I heard you saying that, yes, finances is the issue. So we have to first start with the foundations. So we be able to recognize when these are the issues. But when we have a solid foundation, we can be able to overcome the issues. That's the point that I got from you today.
Yeah. I mean, when I talk with couples, I will often say the issue on the table is not the issue on the table. Okay. So
say that again, Chris. You said the issue on the table
is not the issue on the table. So maybe it's finances. We're talking about maybe it's something with your children, maybe it's your mother-in-law, maybe it's what house you want to buy, or how much money you want to spend, or where you would like to go for dinner. When conflict starts to come up, or disagreements, or missing one another, it's not actually about the finances. It's not actually about your mother-in-law. So the issue that you bring up that causes the conflict or disagreement or missing of one another, that's not actually the issue you need to resolve. The deeper issue is, how are you relating to one another? What parts of your stories are getting triggered? How are you trying to now suddenly survive your spouse instead of being with your spouse? Right. And so like what has gone on, the issue on the table is actually not the real issue on the table. The real issue is just what you said, that foundation and what's going on underneath. Wow. So once you develop a solid foundation inside of that relationship, and it will be challenged and you need to continue tending to it, like I just said a moment ago, but whether it's finances or whether it's a child issue or whether it's, what clothes you should wear today, you can navigate through those things if you have that solid foundation.
Wow. That is so profound.
Yeah.
That is extremely profound. And let me put this to you also, Chris, with the high rates of divorce, the other time I was, doing the research and I was checking, I saw on a top 5 list that finances is actually on the top 3, if I may say, issue, that leads to divorce, even before infidelity. And I'm like, but how could this be so? Is there a way things could be done better or better approaches, or how you can circumnavigate that when it comes to finances, leading to divorce, that, you don't want to take it anymore. You're like, I'm done.
That goes down to what Chris is saying.
Yes.
The foundation. Why is it number 3? So that foundation, if it was not laid properly, those issues, they are the ones that is causing finances like being number 3, which is what the issue on the table is not really the issue on the table. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And here's what I would say. Let's use the example of finances. Okay. Yeah. So underneath finances are a whole host of stories that each of you hold within you. They might not be conscious. You might not remember them, but there's something about how you were shaped in your upbringing, not around finances, but around what brings you, for example, this is just an example, but maybe what brings you comfort. Okay. And so for you, for one of you, comfort comes through a sense of having security, and security comes through having a certain number in the bank account. For the other of you, comfort comes through spending, through buying things, through retail therapy, they call it, right? When you go on a shopping spree, or when you buy an extra drink, or you go on vacation, or something like that. Comfort to my soul happens when something externally comforts me. So when it comes to finances, one of you has a fear of a lack of security, and the other has a fear of not being comforted. That's actually underneath what's happening with your conflict around finances. One of you wants to save money, one of you wants to spend money. It's not a matter of he's the spender, she's the saver. It's a matter of what is going on in the deeper stories around security and comfort.
Wow.
So when we don't address those things,
yes,
it just becomes finances. That's the problem. That's what we're fighting about. When actually it's something far, far deeper.
Deeper than that. Wow. Okay, this is deep now. This is deep.
I've got something to say, but I don't even know, like, what you just said now is just a revelation.
Okay.
Because what you just said, I'm just gonna put it as it is. As you are saying, like, I feel like my mom, like the way I feel comfort, it's when I spend. And when I have those things, I feel like this is what my mom missed. My mom didn't have this. My mom didn't have that. You know what? I want to have this. I want to have this because my mom didn't have. Now that I'm a mother, my husband will be like, why do you buy second iron? You have the other iron that is working.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, I want this one. I want to be comfortable that if I want to iron downstairs, there's an iron downstairs. If I'm upstairs, there's an iron upstairs. So now you went deep to bring it out that why do you like to be doing this? Because I'll be like, I want to go out. You say, where are you going? I say, I want to go to the store. To go buy what? I'm like, no, it's not like there's a specific thing I want to buy. I just want to go. Then be like, but you said we are going to save. I'm like, oh, it's just $100. It's not going to kill us.
Yeah.
But it's like, why don't you take that $100 and pay one credit card or something? I'm like, but it's not going to give me this comfort that I need right now. You know? So I'm like that lady that like, you know what, my mom went through this, my mom went through a lot, and I don't want to be like that. Okay, I have the money. What I want to buy it, and I want it now. And sometimes it's something that I want, but when I get home, it's just laying down there. You know?
So I'm going to take what you said. Thank you for offering that. And I'm going to take what you said one level deeper.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Because something inside of, and thank you for offering your story. So don't feel like I'm trying to like corner you or anything right now.
No, not at all.
Something inside your story is looking to a thing or to a process for comfort instead of looking to God. So what we're actually talking about underneath the finance conversation and then comfort and security, we're actually looking at idolatry.
Wow.
Okay. We're looking at something that is taking us away from God.
Right.
And that's not to say that in that moment you are consciously doing that. That is just to say that your little girl or little boy heart learned that that was not available for you. So you had to do something to comfort your own heart. And those are the stories that you bring into your marriage. How will you find comfort? Okay. And I see your tears. And I just want to pause.
I'm sorry.
1 second, Chris.
You're okay.
I thought it's just like, I just want to go out and buy. I just want to have this, but I didn't know it's deeper than I thought.
And I just want to say, like, that was not something that you chose. It was something that was put there. It was something that was led there. It was something that the world, that the evil one, that somehow through the forces that have been against you in the world have shaped that part of your heart. And you can talk about it on finances level. You can talk about it on he's a spender, she's a saver, or vice versa. Or you can talk about it as like, what is going on in the deeper narrative of my life that brings me a sense of when I need some comfort, where will I go? Okay.
Wow.
So thank you for your generosity with all of us and your face and your story and your tears.
I can imagine, Chris, what is going to be going on at the program, at the tribe. And I think I'm already kind of like hooked, you know. It's like I said, we don't want to stop learning. It looks like it's something we're gonna want to dive into. Like I said, you know, it's just about us learning and trying to develop ourselves, you know. We don't want to be just complacent, you know, with our marriage. Like, oh, we're good, we've arrived. No, we need to work on this daily. So definitely, I see us as a candidate to the marriage.
Yes.
Well,
amazing, you know.
Would love to have you, and I think just your own tenderness towards yourself just now and your awareness of what, like, that tenderness is what is actually healing. Because I do believe that, as Paul tells us in Romans, that it is the kindness of God that leads us to change.
That's right.
He is far kinder towards us and to those places inside of us in our stories where we have found meaning, where we have found some kind of relief in our past that we need to change. And so your own tenderness, your own kindness towards yourself is so much better than contempt. And so much better than contempt, because that will actually lead us towards transformation and change. So,
wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I know we didn't even put a time frame onto. I think, did you say we were going to end 11:30? And it's amazing. I know we could go on and on and on. This is amazing. We don't want to keep you more here. We don't know if you have other commitments.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been good to be with you today. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate the connection. And like I said, we love connecting with people. We believe this is the beginning of a great relationship that we're going to be having with you and the ReStory family, if I may say.
Sure.
You know, I believe it's going to be very impactful in our marriage, in our relationship. And thank you so much. May the Lord continue to bless you and give you more wisdom. And
thank you.
Very positive. We're going to learn a lot, because it looks like you are kind of like walking on the parts that we want to walk in. And that's how I love to connect with people, to say, hey, we just want to do this work, you know, and how best can we serve? Can we continually to serve people out there? Because people are yearning for that total transformation, you know. And this is just evidence of you having, this is not supposed to be like a counseling session, but one way he kind of went there, you know. I was touched, my wife was extremely touched, and this is it. This is just the work.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm this person that if something comes to my mind, or I don't keep quiet, I say it. Because like right now, as we are talking, like what came to my mind at my working place, I always like talk to people, like they just literally come to me like, Masatori, you know what, this is what's happening between me and my wife, and this, that. I'm like, no, this is easy. You do this. Stop stepping out when you're having argument with your wife, you know, stay there, you know, resolve issues. Okay, when you step out, where do you go? You say, I go to my mom's place. I say, if your mom was not there, where would you go? I say, so stop doing that. I'll talk to them. And now I just realized that people, they'll look at us as if maybe we don't have issues that we have to deal with or we are going through. They look at us that we got everything together. And what just came to my mind, that I love when, like the way you went deep, because everything for me, I feel like it was on the surface, and there's something in me that needs to be dealt with in a deeper side, you know. And people looking at us that we got it all together. I cannot diagnose myself, you know, as a doctor cannot diagnose himself. He has to go to another doctor. I feel like meeting you today, it was a divine connection by God, because I feel in my spirit that here is Chris. Chris is for you, you know. He went in there, but I felt like you went deeper. I know that there's a deeper end to the root that is gonna be uprooted. Then I will be free so that I can be in this marriage and committed podcast freely, nothing holding me down. You know, so that
I love that.
I will be able to stand out there and be able to counsel without any underlying issue within me. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to meet you today, Chris.
Oh, well, thank you both. It has been great to meet you as well. And if I lived in California, I would want to go out to some kind of either Nigerian or South African meal with you. I'd love to experience your lives and your culture. So thank you for having me on the show. It's been great to be here.
Okay,
thank you, Chris. We hope to connect with you soon and talk with you. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, you have a good one. Wow, that was amazing. No, we haven't ended. We're still recording. So that was amazing. So reflecting on that, you see, so this is just one of the reasons why I always say, as a coach, as someone who is looking out for others, it's always good for you to have a coach also. It's always good for you to have a mentor, somebody you can go to, because just the last statement that you made now, you can't diagnose yourself. Because there are some the underlying part, really got to me to say there are still issues, that I should deal with differently than me just being, it's finances, it's infidelity, it's lack of communication. It's coming from somewhere, that you have to deal with these issues so that you can have that, you won't be judgmental, or you can have that sort of freedom, to be able to thrive in what it is that you're doing. It's amazing. I really love it.
I wasn't expecting that.
I know.
I thought when we were saying we are having interview, I thought it was like Chris asking us question and all that. Then when you went like, Chris, tell about this. Chris, this. I'm like, I was confused right there. I'm like, I thought we were going to be interviewed. Like, okay, where did you meet? When you were in this situation? It was totally different.
Yeah, which is why I mentioned that it's not scripted. It's not something that, I always love it unscripted. It looks like I'm even gonna add something to married and committed. Maybe I'll say married and committed, unscripted, because because the unscripted, for me, just comes, it brings out deeper things that might probably not be on the script, So for me, I don't want to just keep a script for the sake of keeping it, but just have a structure that just bring out the best in you, and you're not confined to just the script, but you can, talk about other things that, that is in one's heart. So by today's session, thank you guys if you listening. It's been an amazing one, and I hope you guys connected with Chris, with all the things that he was saying, and it's been amazing. And this is one of the episodes that we bringing back as for season 2 of Married and Committed Unscripted. I think I just got that.
Right.
I just got that. There's going to be Married and Committed Unscripted. As we bring you more episodes, we're going to be bringing more experts, more couples that we'll be speaking with. They're going to be here with us live in the studio as we dwell more on issues affecting marriage. All we're trying to do here is about having a conversation about marriage by God's design. You're a man out there. You're on the verge of divorce in your marriage. Things are not working out for you. We are here to speak about those issues, those underlying factors that has made you kind of like swerved away or not on the right path in your marriage, for you to be able to rebuild the trust, for you to be able to rekindle intimacy, for you to be able to live that fulfilling marriage life as designed by God. So thank you for joining us again, and I hope to catch you guys next time and very soon. If you haven't subscribed, go subscribe, press that subscribe button on YouTube. We would love to have you on board as part of our family. And we have a host other platforms also, podcast platforms. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Google Podcasts, and a host of other platforms that you can join us from. And it's been an amazing time with you. My name is Tunde Olanipekun, and my wife here,
Smangi Olanipekun.
So we sign out, and we see you guys soon. Have a good one. Shalom.
Bye.